In this video, we'll see how to solve multi-step equations. Now, to recall our guidelines for solving equations, remember our goal is to find the value of the variable by getting it alone on one side of the equation. And to solve it, I want to simplify each side of the equation using the distributive property or combining like terms. Sometimes we'll be working with this a lot, distributive property combining like terms. And then we want to get the variable term alone on one side of the equation by zeroing out the constant on the variable side. We want to isolate the variable, make the coefficient 1 by dividing by the coefficient, or another way of saying that is we can multiply by its reciprocal. And then we check our work by substituting our answer back into the original equation. So let's take a look at some of these multi-step equations. I have this first one, 5f plus 7 minus 3f plus 11 equals negative 4. I see here I have 4 terms with this in this equation here on the left side, but I know if when I was simplifying expressions, I can combine like terms to make this an easier expression. So 5f minus 3f is 2f, and then a positive 7 plus 11 is a positive 18. So simply by combining like terms, I've changed this into just a two-step equation, which we know how to solve. We can subtract the constant on the variable side. Because of the additive inverse property, this will zero out this constant. I'm left with 2f equals negative 4 minus 18 is negative 22. You can divide both sides by 2, and f is equal to negative 11. On this next example, I have 21 equals 3 times the quantity 4m minus 9. Well, when I look at this problem, I think of the distributive property, and I know I have to multiply this 3 times each of those terms inside the parentheses. So I can simplify this by saying 21 is equal to 3, is equal to 3 times 4, which is 12. 12m, and then 3 times a negative 9 is a negative 27. And again, now it's just a two-step equation. I can solve this by adding 27 to both sides. And 21 plus 27 is 48. That's equal to 12m. Divide both sides by the coefficient there. And I get 4 is equal to m. There's actually another way I could solve this equation. I think it can be a little bit simpler, but I'll show it to you. Remember our answer, m is equal to 4 here. What I can do if I want is I'm multiplying 3 times this whole quantity 4m minus 9. So what I can actually do if I wanted to is divide both sides by 3. Okay, these will cancel out, leave me with 4m minus 9 is equal to 21 over 3 is 7. I'm going to add the constant on the variable side to both sides of the equal sign. I get 16 equals 4m. Divide by the coefficient, and once again, I get m is equal to 4. So we can solve that in a couple different ways, and it's really up to you which way you'd want to solve that. Now I could not use that little trick here because I would have to divide the whole side of this equation here by 2, which would sort of make this messy over here, or divide all of it by negative 5, which it would make this part messy. So here I'm just going to distribute first, and then I'm going to combine like terms. So 2 times b is 2b. 2 times a positive 3 is positive 6. Negative 5 times b is negative 5b. And a negative 5, remember this is a negative 5 here, times a positive 2 is a negative 10. All of that's equal to negative 25. And then I just want to combine like terms. 2b minus 5b is negative 3b. A positive 6 minus 10 is negative 4. And that is equal to negative 25. I want to add this constant. It's -4, so I want to add 4 to zero it out. But what I do to one side of the equal sign, I must do to the other. So I am left with -3b equals -21. Divide both sides by the coefficient here, and b is equal to 7. Okay, why don't you practice these problems here, hit pause and solve them as best you can, and then hit play, and we'll see if your answers and mine match up. So in this first example, I want to first combine my like terms here. -4 and -6. I get 7b minus 10 equals -3. I want to zero out the constant on the variable side. So if it's a -10, I want to add 10. And add 10 here. I get 7b equals 7. Divide both sides by the coefficient. 7 over 7 is 1, so b is equal to 1. Okay. In this problem here, I could use the distributive property, 5 times the quantity m plus 3 equals 50. Or I can divide both sides by this 5 here. Since I'm multiplying the whole side of this equation by 5, I can divide it by 5. These cancel out, giving me 1. So I've got m plus 3 is equal to 10. Subtract 3 on both sides, and I have m is equal to 7. If you use the distributive property, you would get the same answer though. And the last problem here. I want to use the distributive property here. I want to remember that's a -9 when I use the distributive property here. Obviously, we can ignore this other equals 36 here. So 36 is equal to 54 minus 60k. -9 times -6 is positive 54k. And -9 times a -4 is positive 36. I want to combine my like terms. So 36 is going to be equal to a -60 plus 54, that's -6k. And then I have 54 plus 36, and 54 and 36 is 90, a positive 90. Now I have a two-step equation. I want to eliminate the constant on the variable side, so it's a positive 90, so I'm going to subtract 90 from this. But I also want to subtract 90 from this side of the equation. I have -6k equals -54. Divide both sides by the coefficient. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. I have 9 is equal to k. And that's how we solve multi-step equations.